to live in this incarnation is to accept that you are a spirit that decided to incarnate. A lot of the purpose of this incarnation is to also regain your spiritual nature, to divorce from the material aspect of life, the industrial aspect of life, the mechanical aspect of life, and to regain your spiritual, your psychic abilities. And these are some of the practices. Finishing the Grammys, and when I want to talk about Kendrick Lamar particularly, who has surpassed Jay-Z. I mean, if the tour, the GNX tour, was not a telltale sign, well, first it was hip hop's Chiron return. It was the return of an asteroid that we all have in our charts, in our natal chart. Any entity that has a start date, that has a birth date, has a natal chart. So that's hip hop. Hip hop was born in August of '73. Doesn't matter the date for something as cultural. I mean, yes, it will matter the rising and the moon. I will definitely would love to see that, the particular day. But just like the United States and any other country has a birth chart, so that's hip hop, right? And hip hop experiencing its Chiron return after a 50-year cycle with the GNX tour. So basically, Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid. There's a mythology behind it. It's spelled Chiron. Please look it up, because I'm not here to talk about Chiron. I'm here to talk about Kendrick Lamar surpassing Jay-Z. I always knew that Jay-Z was Virgo rising. I'm Virgo rising. Further, he's a Sagittarius. So both Virgo rising and the Sagittarius nature, these are mutable aspects. These are mutable archetypes. These are mutable signs. And the current North Node being in Pisces, making the South Node an opposition sign, is Virgo. So South Node is going through Jay-Z's first house, right? So it's clearing that first house. Jay-Z has been in the news a lot. The nodal arc is 1.5 years. If you look at the different news that Jay-Z has found himself over the past 1.5 years, whether guilty or not, that's not my interest. My interest is to study the cycles and how they are showing up in people's lives, right? And it's a husband's chart, a partner's chart. A partner can reflect into their partner. A partner aspect can reflect into another partner. So Beyonce being a Virgo, Jay-Z being Virgo rising, I think her sun sits on his conjuncts, maybe White Orb. His ascendant, the clearing that South Node does, her losing over 10 million followers due to the Epstein files news release. But there was also some other news last year that was affecting Jay-Z a lot. I think this is all part of the South Node going through his house. It doesn't make him guilty or not. I'm just talking about a cycle here. And what was striking to me, despite this various hip-hop related news in those people's lives, was particularly the crowning of Kendrick Lamar as the new most Grammy nominated artist in the genre that hip hop is. Okay, and on that day, transit South Node was making an exact square to Jay-Z's sun. Okay, a square is a it's a negative aspect. It's a conflict. Square is a nature of the square. The 90-degree square is a nature of conflict. Okay, so the Jay-Z sun was being afflicted. It was being afflicted. The train from the south node, and to see it reflected in Kendrick surpassing Jay-Z doesn't surprise me. How Jay-Z identified with prior no longer serves the collective, and that is cleared out. Just the same as I told Drake in April of 2023, when the eclipses were coming through, he was having the transit south node was going to conjunct his sun in the very last degrees of well, the very last degrees, the beginning, because he's at 0.33 degrees Scorpio. It was at the tail end, and transit Pluto was making a square at the same time. I said, "This is a terrible. this is not good." And it was eclipse season, and little did I know, it took a year to date to what I had predicted at April of 2024 for Drake to be taken out. That aspect, I don't know. I mean, I've seen it so many times in people's lives when I was still practicing and researching and having those conversations freely, right? But I don't do that anymore. But anyway, so I want to get back to Kendrick Lamar. Uh, you know, online conversations are always very interesting to me because everybody's like, they act, I don't know if they play dumb sometimes, like, oh my god, it's like he predicted it, it's like it's prophetic, it's like a miracle, it's like this and that. No, there is an organization, there is this world that we see, and then there is the organization, the management behind everything, which is the spiritual world that powers this world. There is the blueprint, the 3D, the blueprint, and then everything gets channeled here into the 3D, right? Kendrick works with Kendrick is the mystic. If you They call him a mystic because he doesn't show up very often. Well, the mystic of Kendrick is that Kendrick obeys to his collaborative spirit, to this higher being, and he calls her Gloria. He talks about the spirits he obeys to, and it's Gloria, and she keeps him lit. We don't see Kendrick, when you work with spirits, it's the higher beings who keep you lit, who gives you number ones, right? Because I see a lot of people that are complaining about the luck that Kendrick has. Kendrick, whether he know unbeknownst to him or not, because he's done past life regression, he talks about reincarnated. Kendrick obeys very natural laws and the occult laws when you work with your spirit. Humility, these are the higher principles, and these are the higher ideals, right? Because you're talking about a human connecting with a higher entity, a one that hasn't incarnated, or doesn't want to incarnate, or maybe has incarnated before, right? And they merge, you merge your soul with them. Hierogamos, you merge your soul with, is it Atma Buddhi or Hierogama? I think it's Atma Buddhi. You merge your soul with those higher beings, but first you have to rise yourself up to those levels. And to rise yourself up, these are, it might sound simple, but it's extremely tricky to do, because the era, the epoch, the materialist epoch that we live in makes it extremely conflicting, because we have a huge egocentric presence, right? And that's just the way this era is designed. You have materialism, and then you have the distractions of all the social media apps, right? These apps are designed for us to not regain our power. And the power is very simple. Once you cut out all those noise and you do very simple practices, like I said, humility, gratitude, okay, to keep yourself in a state, a vibrational state that rise you above the third dimension density that keeps us down. Okay, that's why we don't see Kendrick Lamar online. If you want to keep working with the spirit, you cannot participate in the 3D like most people participate in or involve in the 3D. Meditation is mandatory. Okay, and there's several forms of meditation. You don't necessarily have to go into samadhi, like I've said before. There's several types of meditations, right? But being able to clear your mind, to clear the noise, to connect so that the spirits can descend, because it's a spirit, you're merging your soul with a higher being, right? I do breath work. I just did a 20 minutes practice. I don't know if I'm going to release the full format video or if I'm going to cut it, my 20-minute practice, and then this little talk that I'm having here now. Because you are now embodying a higher spirit, so you are embodying higher qualities of human that are not easily found here. That is why every time you see Kendrick Lamar move, we admire what he does, okay? Because we look up to him. Those spirits on a higher octave, they're on a higher dimension, they're not in a 3D, okay? That's why I saw him. I saw the Grammy reception speech. These are my brothers. The spirit of brotherhood, right? The lack of envy, the lack of jealousy. You cannot have those, and you cannot fake it, because those spirits, you cannot connect with those higher beings if you are not clear. If the pathway is not clear for those spirits to descend and merge with you, okay? Charity, it basically embodying ideals, things that we look up to, things that we admire, okay? But these spirits who are in charge of art, sport, the elemental spirits, right? They cannot come to this density. So Kendrick Lamar, when you don't see him feeling himself on social media, posting every 2 seconds or addressing nonsense, it's because the spirit that he works with, there will be no way for him to work with that spirit. But there will be no connection, okay? And when you hear his song Reincarnated, it's a spirit, it's a soul, like all of us souls that's had many lives, one soul, many lives, that has traveled, that's had many journeys. And he's I believe that song is autobiographical, that's had many journeys, and he wonders if in this incarnation he gets it, right? Because we don't, essentially, the human doesn't want to reincarnate, but the soul reincarnates. It's got nothing to do with what your little 80-year that you're gonna live here opinion is all about. Oh, life is hard, I don't want to come back. You are not coming back here. You, Billy, Joe, Bob, whoever you are not coming back here. You are done. The soul is eternal. It goes, and then there are impulses that pulls you back into an incarnation, things that you haven't worked out, things that you left unfinished, desires, if there's still desires attached to 3D that your soul, you weren't able to work out. Yes, you pass, you go back, you gather, you do the life review, okay? But after a while, all those things that I have just listed, like I said, the desires and things that you haven't worked out, form two things. They pull the soul, Okay, it creates the archetype of the new incarnation of who you are going to become to fulfill what you didn't last time, what's left undone. And um so it's going to the karma, and it's going to build the karma. Okay, and these are things that are just automatic until you clear all those things out the way. Okay, until there is no more karma to work out, until there is no more archetype from unleft desires, unfulfilled desires, because these desires are from the third 3D reality. I'm sure. I can't just say that because I'm sure it's the same mechanics on Moon and on Jupiter and on Saturn. If there is reincarnation over there, uh, it pulls you. The impulse just pulls and automatically puts you back on the wheel of the samsara. Okay, so even this little expression that we have, well, karma is a bitch. Unless you are an expert in the mechanics of karma, you guys sound like idiot when you use that expression. You guys do not know the karma is one of the most mysterious, occulted. Even the riches in India, the original masters that left us teachings, karma is so occulted. No one really has been able to explain the mechanics of karma. Okay, well, karma is not what you see as surface level. Well, karma is a bitch. Ain't working like that. Just because you don't like the person, that don't mean that your little sense of justice or your little logic of justice is going to affect the person. Am I saying go put a bad vibration? That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the mechanics of karmas are not understood by man's human logic. Okay, the limited human logic that makes sense of this life. Karma is the mechanics of karma, the laws of balance, because everything balances out in the universe ultimately, right? So to come back to Kendrick Lamar, the spirit shows very strongly. I mean, this gift that he has, the talent, is not a coincidence. It is, to me, there is a spirit behind everything. You want something, then you find the being or the higher spirit in charge of that thing, and you work with them and you work with them, and that's when you start sacrificing your lower human nature if you want that spirit to descend. But a lot of people are not able to do that, right? But with Kendrick Lamar, it's when I listen to the lyrics, reincarnated past life regression, this is someone who has the impulse has been put within him to research himself, know thyself, and do the work it takes to get the ego out of the way, and find and connect with the higher being in charge of this art form, or one of the spirits in charge of the art form that's going to facilitate your path, right? And these spirits, they obey the ideals, the ideal quality. So if you think that spirits can inhabit it, your egoic nature and those spirits cannot cohabitate. One of the two has to go for that spirit to be channeled at that level, that is consistently giving him great music, amazing music. I saw the since 2016 his awards recognition, the songs that he has put out, and look at the nature of the songs. Be humble, you know, it's gonna be all right. It's always a chant, a cry, rallying the troop, a message of hope, you know. Because and I'm not saying that Kendrick is not cursing, and I'm not saying that uh, cursing on our human morality, is it right or wrong to curse. I'm not even going into those waters, because although there is a high morality to work with these spirits, uh, our reasoning, the limitation of our reasoning is not necessarily right? We are deducting, we are in the age from Aristotle, abstraction, right? And the logos, the word, the original word, logos, first there was the word, Plato, right? That's a different frame of mind of reference. So yeah, I do see the N word as being controversial for us. I do see cursing as controversial for us, because Kendrick Lamar does swear in his music. He does use the N word. He does use the bitch word as an artistic expression. And you know, I cannot explain that. I cannot explain how the spirit he works with expresses itself in those terms, in terms of the lyricism. But between the Chiron return in hip hop, and also he's having a nodal return. No, was he a nodal return? Is he? I think he's that generation of Northern Aries, right? Where transit, no, that's Drake, because Drake is 1986. With transit Chiron conjuncting all of 1986 and 1986, part of 1987. Transit Chiron is conjuncting no, but also the night of the Grammys, because I was shocked. I didn't know that it was the Grammys on Sunday. When I looked at Kendrick's chart, to me it was transit Jupiter was conjuncting his moon. Well, it was conjuncting his Mars for sure. He had two planets in Cancer that was getting a conjunction. And the only other person that I knew was a contender was Pusha T. I didn't have a birth date for the eclipse, the group itself, so I looked at Pusha T. Transit Sun was making an opposition to his Saturn. I'm like, this guy's not getting nominated. It's Transit Sun, you know, they're not gonna put him in a position. Transit Sun is directing, opposing. This is not where the collective is at right now. And also there was another girl that I had been rooting for, but I didn't know who else was in her category, and to form an opinion, I have to pull all 5 people nominated chart. But it was Zara Larsson from Sweden. I think it's overdue. You know, she's a brilliant and talented performer. I think she has a moon in Leo. When I put her chart at 12 noon, I don't have a time of birth for her. So when I put her chart at 12 noon, I see her as a moon in Cancer, but the very, very, very late degrees of a moon in Cancer, I'm like, I think she's a moon in Leo, because the performance, she's a stage baby. She's a stage baby, just like Dua Lipa has a Venus in Leo, just like Tate McRae, Tate, I'm gonna butcher her name. She has a Jupiter in Leo, and Jupiter in Leo, Tate McRae. You see her, she's a performance. You know, just like Michael Jackson had a Venus in Leo. If you guys ever fucking wonder, because yes, Michael was a Virgo, Sun Pluto in Virgo, but Michael Jackson was Venus in Leo, and Leo is always going to be theatrical, is always going to be the stage. But to go back to Kendrick Lamar, uh, he had two planets that was making a conjunction to that transit Jupiter in Cancer, and it's is he also Mercury in Cancer? He had no. He had. I don't remember his chart. Um. Yeah, I don't. So, Kendrick has Mars, Mercury, always a sign in a conjunction, in an adverse aspect like a square or an opposition. I mean, even sextile trines and these with words. But when you look at battle rappers' charts, most of them you're gonna find Mars, Mercury, and Kendrick has it in conjunction, even if wide orb, in Cancer. Transit Jupiter was making a conjunction to, it was exact actually, it was in those degrees, and on his Mercury in Cancer. And I think that he I think if the chart that we have, if the time of birth that we have is exact for Kendrick, it has a conjunction quite a fortune. So transit Jupiter was making an exact conjunction on the day of the Grammys. Say less. That's what I felt, that yeah, no, Kendrick was winning again. And plus, you know, when you're working with a spirit like the spirit that he works with, who has given him the stadium tour, who has worked in conjunction with the transit Chiron return, he was not about to lose to another contender. The magnitude of that tour, of the tour, what it has done for hip hop, and to to bury Drake 1 year, and to dethrone Jay-Z the following year. It's the magnitude of where hip hop is at, and what Kendrick represents in the current era of hip hop. And don't forget, Kendrick's spirit guide is Tupac. That's one of his spirit guides, and that's you see it in the birthdays. You know, June 17, June 19. These are not coincidences. Those are the degrees, and the birthdays are chambers of resonance, right? This is where consciousness is sitting, right? These are not random numbers. This is a very calculated world on exactitude, a spirit world that is able to form a whole planet, and a whole story, and a whole habitant, and a whole human race, a whole race. You know, spirit is among us. Spirit is always here. Spirit lives here. Just like Kendrick says about what did I tell you, man? Hip hop will always be here. Spirit is always going to be here. We are fishes who don't know that we are in water. Spirit is everywhere. For those who have the ability, the psychic abilities, the mediumistic ability to see beyond the veil, or even to see the entities, the impulses, the forces that are around us at all time. We cannot see it because it will drive us insane. But there's many people, the ones we perhaps call schizophrenic, or other types of mental affliction, of mental illnesses, that are able to see what the normal human sight cannot pick up on, right? So his chart, I don't remember some of his placements, but that's how I look at things. You know, I look at what is spirit doing, what is the blueprint saying, and then it's gonna show up in the collective. These things are not random. These things are not, oh, I think the Grammy went this way, or I think they got it wrong. No, the things that are happening is what spirit wants things to happen in the collective. Don't forget, those Grammys wins are going to change people's life and trajectory. So these are not random. Okay, this life is not random. Just because you cannot make sense of it, okay, that doesn't mean that there's a very perfect organization of when things are supposed to do, when the winds are given. Okay, because it's going to change someone's, it's not going to change their trajectory, but it's going to put them on certain path, and it's going to create certain alliance and certain people that they are supposed to meet. So this universe, this incarnation and this universe is not built on randomness as much as you would like to think. Anyways, that's my little ramble on for today. That's that. The little girl Zara Larson, she had transit sun making a transit sun and moon making a square to her Chiron. I think that the loss was very painful for her, but transit Chiron was making a trine to her sun. And if you think about the sun being your livelihood, your job, your identity, and Zara Larson being a contender for so long, never got nominated. This was her first nomination, right? To get to the Grammys, and she's been performing for a long time. When I started paying attention to her over the past few months, realizing that some of the pop hits were hers, I was, that whole Beyonce baby boy early 2000 fashion inspired that she portrays. I think that the nomination brought healing, to her son, the trine, the Chiron, transit Chiron making a trine to her son. But I think that the loss was painful. I think that the loss was painful. Yes, she was on the red carpet, and she graciously gave it, well, I mean, what else was she gonna do? Fight Lady Gaga? It was what it was. But I think that it was a painful moment for her to lose. But I think that getting to the all the way to the Grammys was essentially a healing moment for her. Sometimes I browse through those charts because there's always a million charts to look into, and it's just a secondary glance. It's it's really, for me, it's primary way of looking at things. What is spirit saying right now? What is this person going through right now at the moment? Just like I said, when I saw transit sun making an opposition to Pusha T's Saturn, I say, yeah, you're not getting this one.